Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiant Dawn and looked out at the stars. 3 months ago, humans had made their first jump to faster than light speed. Now they were farther from Earth than any human had ever been. The excitement on his ship was real. Every crew member wanted to see what was out there. "Captain, we are picking up something strange," said Lieutenant Amy Carter from her station. She was the best tactical officer Jake had ever worked with. Her fingers moved fast over the controls as she tried to make sense of what the sensors were showing. "What kind of strange?" Jake asked. He walked over to look at her screen. The data made no sense to him, but Amy was good at reading these things. 12 ships, sir. They are big, really big. And they are coming straight at us," Amy said. Her voice stayed calm, but Jake could see the worry in her eyes. Jake felt his heart beat faster. First contact with alien life. This was the moment every human had dreamed about since they first looked at the stars. "Are they friendly?" he asked. "I do not know, sir. But they are moving in attack formation," Amy replied. On the main screen, the alien ships appeared. They were massive, at least 3 times bigger than the Defiant Dawn. Their hulls were silver and smooth, with strange blue lights running along the sides. They looked powerful and dangerous. "This is Admiral Zephix 9 of the Galactic Empire," a voice said over the radio. It sounded cold and mechanical. "Unknown vessel, you have entered Imperial space without permission. Surrender immediately or face destruction." Jake looked around his bridge. His crew was staring at him, waiting for orders. Chief Engineer Pete Rodriguez had come up from the engine room to see what was happening. Even Dr. Kevin Stone had left. His medical bay to watch. Galactic Empire? Jake said out loud, "How long have they been out here?" "Sir, what are your orders?" Amy asked. Jake thought for a moment. Then he started to laugh. It was not a mean laugh or a crazy laugh. It was the kind of laugh you make when someone tells you something so silly that you cannot help yourself. "Captain?" Amy looked confused. "They want us to surrender," Jake said, still laughing. "We just got out here, and they want us to give up already." Pete Rodriguez started to grin. "That is pretty funny, Captain." Dr. Stone was smiling too. "I mean, we did come all this way just to hand ourselves over to the first aliens we meet." Soon the whole bridge was laughing. Not because they were not afraid, but because the situation was so strange. Here they were, millions of miles from home, being told to surrender by aliens they had never met. "Unknown vessel, you will surrender." "No," the alien voice said again. It sounded angry. This time Jake pressed the communication button. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human ship Defiant Dawn. Thanks for the warm welcome, but we will have to pass on the surrender thing." "You refuse to surrender?" The alien sounded shocked. "That is right," Jake said. "We just got here. We want to look around a bit first." There was silence from the alien ships. Then the voice came back, even colder than before. "You are either very brave or very stupid humans." "Probably a little of both," Jake replied with a smile. Amy was studying the alien ships on her sensors. "Captain, their weapons are charging, but their ship design looks old, really old." "How old?" Jake asked. "Like hundreds of years old." "Their engines are powerful, but the way they are built is very basic, and they are moving in a straight line formation," Amy explained. "No creativity," Pete said. "Just big and straightforward." The alien ships opened fire. Bright energy beams shot toward the Defiant Dawn. Amy quickly moved the ship to the side, and the beams missed. "Return fire," Jake ordered. "Sir, our weapons are much smaller than theirs," Amy said. "Then we need to be smarter," Jake replied. "Pete, can this ship take a hit?" "She is built tough, Captain." "But not 12 hits tough," Pete answered. Jake looked at the alien formation. They were flying in a perfect line, just like Amy had said. No imagination at all. Amy, take us straight at them. Full speed. Sir? Amy looked surprised. You heard me. Right at the biggest one in the middle. Amy did what he ordered. The Defiant. Dawn shot forward toward the alien fleet. The aliens fired again, but they were not ready for such a direct attack. Most of their shots missed. They think we are going to ram them, Amy said. Are we? Dr. Stone asked, holding onto his chair. Maybe, Jake said with a grin. At the last second, Jake ordered Amy to spin the ship and fire all weapons at the alien. Flagship sighed. The move was so unexpected that the aliens could not react in time. The Defiant Dawn's weapons hit the big ship where its armor was weakest. The alien ship began to lose power. Its lights went out, and it started to drift. Now. What? Amy asked. Now we show them something they have never seen before, Jake said. Take us around behind them. Use their own ship as cover. Amy flew the Defiant Dawn behind the damaged alien flagship. The other alien ships could not fire without hitting their own command ship. This is impossible, the alien voice said over the radio. How are you doing this? Practice, Jake replied. Pete had an idea. Captain, there are some asteroids nearby. We could push one of them toward their formation. Do it, Jake ordered. The Defiant Dawn grabbed a large asteroid with its tractor beam and sent it spinning toward the alien ships. The aliens tried to destroy it, but their energy beams just broke it into smaller pieces. Now they had dozens of rock chunks flying at them instead of one big rock. 3 alien ships were hit by the asteroid pieces. They were built to fight other ships with energy weapons, not flying rocks. Humans are insane, the alien admiral said over the radio. Thank you, Jake replied. We try our best. The remaining alien ships tried to regroup, but Jake had Amy keep moving. The Defiant Dawn was much smaller and faster than the alien ships. It could turn and spin in ways that confused the aliens. Sir, we are getting a message from the alien flagship, Amy reported. Put it through, Jake said. This is Admiral Zephix 9. How is this possible? We have never been defeated by a single ship before. Jake thought about his answer. Maybe because you have never fought anyone who is not afraid of you before. You are not afraid? The alien admiral asked. Jake looked around his bridge. His crew was working hard, but they were still smiling. Even in the middle of a space battle, they were having fun. Not really, Jake said. This is actually pretty exciting. The alien admiral was quiet for a long time. Then he said, We will remember this, humans. This is not over. The remaining alien ships turned and flew away. Jake and his crew watched them go. Well, that was interesting, Dr. Stone said. Amy, send a message to Earth. Tell them we found some neighbors. Not very friendly ones, Jake ordered. As the Defiant Dawn continued on its journey, Jake could not stop smiling. Humans had just fought their first space battle, and they had won by being exactly what they were. Unpredictable, creative, and maybe a little crazy. The galaxy was about to learn that humans were not like any other species they had ever met. And that was going to be a very big problem for the Galactic Empire. Admiral Zephix 9 stood in the command center of his massive flagship. His 3 eyes stared at the battle reports on the screen. The data made no sense. One small human ship had destroyed or damaged 8 of his best vessels. This had never happened before in the Empire's long history. Sir, the High Council is demanding an explanation, said General Vorthik. His voice carried the worry that all Imperial officers felt when they failed. What explanation can I give? Admiral Zephix 9 replied, The humans fight like no species we have ever encountered. They do not follow any known battle tactics. They are primitive, General Vorthik said. They just discovered faster-than-light travel. How can they defeat our trained forces? Admiral Zifix-9 looked at the recordings of the battle again. The human ship had done impossible things. It spun while firing. It used asteroids as weapons. It flew directly at Imperial ships without fear. Assemble the Second Fleet, 200 ships. We will end this human problem once and for all. Back on Earth, Captain Jake Morrison stood in the command center of Earth Defense. The room was full of activity as humans prepared for what everyone knew was coming. The Empire would return with more ships. Admiral Lisa Brooks looked at the tactical displays. She was in charge of Earth's defense, and she had only 3 weeks to prepare. Jake, tell me everything about how they fight. They are big and powerful, but they think in straight lines, Jake explained. They expect enemies to surrender or fight like they do. When we did neither, they could not adapt. Chief Engineer Pete Rodriguez was working on modifications to the new ships being built. Their energy shields are strong against energy weapons, but they had trouble with physical attacks. I am making our ships stronger for ramming. Dr. Kevin Stone had been studying the pieces of Imperial technology they had recovered. Their ships are designed to fight other Imperial ships. They have never faced an enemy that uses different tactics. Lieutenant Amy Carter was training the new ship captains. The key is to never do what they expect. If they think you will turn left, turn right. If they expect you to retreat, attack. If they want you to fight one way, fight another way. Admiral Lisa Brooks nodded. How many ships do we have ready? 15, Pete answered. Not much against their fleet size, but each one has the new modifications. What modifications? Lisa asked. Pete smiled. Reinforced hulls for ramming. Rotating sections so we can spin and fire at the same time. Kinetic weapons that fire solid metal instead of energy. And something special I call surprise packages. What are surprise packages? Jake asked. You will see, Pete said with a grin. 3 weeks later, the Imperial fleet arrived. 200 massive ships appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system. They moved in perfect formation toward the planet. Admiral Zevix-9 spoke over the communication channels. Humans of Earth, your small victory was a mistake. Surrender now, and we will allow some of you to live as servants. Jake was commanding the Defiant Dawn again. Around him, 14 other human ships waited. They looked tiny compared to the Imperial fleet. This is Captain Morrison. Thanks for the offer, but we like being free. Then you will die free, Admiral Zefix-9 replied. The Imperial fleet began to spread out, planning to surround the human ships. It was a standard tactic that had worked against every other species. All ships, remember your training, Jake said over the radio. Do not let them box us in. Keep moving. Use everything around us. The human ships scattered in different directions. Some headed toward the asteroid belt. Others flew toward the gas giant Jupiter. 2 ships dove toward the sun. They are running, General Vorthik observed. No, Admiral Zefix-9 said. They are planning something. The Imperial ships followed, trying to catch the humans. But the human ships were faster and could change direction quickly. When the Imperial ships got close, the humans would suddenly turn and attack, then speed away before the larger ships could respond. Amy Carter's ship, the Iron Eagle, led a group of Imperial ships into the asteroid belt. Once there, she began using the asteroids as weapons and shields. Her ship would hide behind a large rock and push it toward the enemy ships. Pete Rodriguez had been right about the kinetic weapons. The Imperial energy shields stopped energy. Beams, but they could not stop solid metal moving at high speed. The human ships fired metal slugs that punched through Imperial hulls. Sir, we are losing ships, General Vorthik reported. The humans are not fighting like any enemy we have faced. Admiral Zefix-9 watched as his ships tried to fight an enemy that would not stay still. Order the fleet to concentrate fire. Destroy the planet. But, sir, we wanted to capture the humans for study, General Vorthik said. There will be nothing left to study if we cannot defeat them. The Admiral replied. The Imperial ships turned toward Earth and began charging their main weapons. But Jake had expected this. Now, Pete, he said over the radio. Pete's ship was near Jupiter. He activated his surprise package. Dozens of small pods shot out of his ship and began attaching themselves to the Imperial vessels. The pods looked harmless, so the Imperial ships ignored them. Then the pods exploded, not with energy or fire, but with sticky foam that covered the Imperial ship's sensors and weapons. The ships were not damaged, but they could not see or shoot. What is this substance? Admiral Zevix-9 demanded. Expanding foam, Jake replied. We use it to fix leaks in our ships. Works great for covering things too. Half the Imperial fleet was now blind. The other half tried to help them. But the human ships attacked them while they were distracted. Sergeant Danny Walsh led a team of Marines to board one of the blinded Imperial ships. They found the alien crew trying to clean the foam off their controls. Surprise, Danny said, as his Marines took control of the ship. More human boarding parties captured other Imperial vessels. The aliens had never faced an enemy that would actually board their ships during battle. Admiral Zevix-9 realized his fleet was losing. Ships were being captured or disabled. The humans were using tactics that made no sense, but they worked. All ships retreat, he ordered. Sir? General Vorthik could not believe what he was hearing. We retreat, now. The remaining Imperial ships fled toward the edge of the solar system. They left behind 30 disabled vessels and their crews. Jake watched them go. Amy, send a message to the captured ships. Tell them they are welcome to stay and learn about humans, or they can leave peacefully. Dr. Stone was already preparing to meet with the alien prisoners. This was a chance to learn about each other instead of just fighting. Admiral Lisa Brooks joined Jake on the bridge of the Defiant Dawn. What do you think they will do next? They will be back, Jake said. But next time, they will bring even more ships. And they will try to learn from this battle. Will that make them more dangerous? Lisa asked. Jake smiled. Maybe, but they will still be thinking like an empire that has never really been challenged. We will be thinking like humans. In space, the captured Imperial ships were making a choice. Some decided to leave and return to the Empire, but others chose to stay. They wanted to understand these strange humans who laughed in the face of danger and won battles by breaking every rule. The war between humanity and the Galactic Empire had only begun. But already, word was spreading throughout the galaxy about a species that could not be conquered, could not be predicted, and would not surrender. Some aliens were afraid of this news. Others were hopeful. For the first time in centuries, someone had stood up to the Empire and won. And the humans were just getting started. News traveled fast across the galaxy. On 100 different worlds, aliens whispered about the humans who had defeated the Empire twice. Some did not believe the stories. Others began to hope for the first time in centuries that Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiant Dawn as his small fleet approached the Vega system. Intelligence reports said the Empire was using 3 planets there as mining colonies. Millions of aliens worked in the mines as slaves. Jake, are you sure about this? Admiral Lisa Brooks asked over the communication link. She was back on Earth, coordinating the defense there. We cannot just stay home and wait for them to attack again, Jake replied. If we free some of their slaves, maybe we can learn more about the Empire. Lieutenant Amy Carter was studying the sensor readings. I count 40 Imperial ships around the mining planets. But there are also some ships I do not recognize. Slave transports, said Dr. Kevin Stone. He had been studying the Imperial files they had captured. They move workers between different mining operations. Chief Engineer Pete Rodriguez was excited about this mission. Jake, I have been working with some of the Imperial engineers who stayed on Earth. They taught me interesting things about Imperial technology. What kind of things? Jake asked. Their ships all connect to a central command network. If we can disrupt that network, their ships cannot coordinate with each other, Pete explained. That sounds useful, Amy said as they approached Vega Station. Jake opened communication channels. This is Captain Narration of the human fleet. Imperial forces, you have one chance to surrender and leave this system peacefully. The response came quickly. This is Captain Nexus Prime of the Imperial Navy. Humans, you are far from your home world. Here you will find only death. Jake looked. Around his bridge, his crew was smiling. They had heard threats like this before. Amy, what do you see down on those planets? Jake asked. Thousands of aliens working in the mines. The living conditions looked terrible. And Jake, some of those. Aliens are fighting back against their guards. A rebellion? Dr. Stone asked. Looks like it, Amy confirmed. Jake made a decision. All ships, this is no longer just a rescue mission. We are going to help those rebels win their freedom. The Imperial ships moved to attack formation. Captain Nexus Prime was known throughout the Empire as their best tactical commander. He had studied the reports of the human battles and thought he understood their weaknesses. Attack Pattern 7, Captain Nexus Prime ordered. Surround them and crush them. The Imperial ships spread out in a wide circle around the human fleet. It was a good plan that should have worked against any normal enemy, but Jake did not try to break through the circle. Instead, he led his ships straight down toward the planets. Sir, they are heading for the surface, reported Nexus Prime's tactical officer. Follow them. Do not let them reach the mining operations. Nexus Prime ordered as the human ships approached the planets. Something unexpected happened. The slave ships that had been transporting workers suddenly changed course. Instead of running away from the battle, they flew toward the Imperial ships. What are they doing? Nexus Prime demanded. The answer came over the communication channels. Alien voices from dozens of different species began speaking at once. This is Mining Crew 7. We are free. Transport Ship 12 joining the humans. The revolution has begun. Pete Rodriguez grinned. I may have sent some messages to those slave ships about how to override their control systems. Dr. Stone was amazed. Pete, you started a revolution. The humans just gave us the push we needed, said a new voice over the radio. This is Mining Supervisor Kex of the Vorthani people. We have been waiting for someone to stand up to the Empire. Now the battle became much more complicated. Imperial ships found themselves fighting not just the human fleet, but also dozens of converted slave ships. The former slaves did not have good weapons, but they had determination and numbers. Captain Nexus Prime tried to maintain control. All ships, ignore the slave vessels. Focus fire on the human ships. But the slave ships would not be ignored. They rammed Imperial vessels, blocked their shots, and generally made it impossible for the Imperial forces to coordinate their attacks. Jake took advantage of the chaos. Amy, take us after their command ship. If we can capture Captain Nexus Prime, the rest might surrender. The Defiant Dawn dove through the battle toward Nexus Prime's flagship. The Imperial captain saw them coming and ordered all weapons to fire at the human ship. Amy spun the Defiant Dawn like a dancer, avoiding most of the shots. The ones that hit were absorbed by the reinforced armor Pete had installed. Ramming speed? Jake ordered. Are you insane? Captain Nexus Prime said over the radio. Probably. Jake replied. At the last second, Amy pulled up and fired the ship's new kinetic weapons directly into the Imperial flagship's engine section. the ship lost power and began drifting. Sergeant Walsh, take your Marines and capture that ship. Jake ordered. Sergeant Danny Walsh and his team used small shuttles to board the Imperial flagship. They found the alien crew trying to restore power to their weapons. Danny and his Marines moved through the ship with techniques they had learned from video games and action movies. They used surprise, speed, and teamwork to overcome the larger alien soldiers. Captain Morrison, we have secured the Imperial flagship, Danny reported, and we have a prisoner who wants to talk to you. Captain Nexus Prime was brought to the Defiant Dawn. He was tall and thin, with silver skin and large black eyes. He looked at Jake with confusion. How do you do it? Nexus Prime asked. Do what? Jake replied. Fight without fear. Coordinate without central command. Win against superior numbers. Jake thought about the question. I guess we fight for something we believe in, and we trust each other to do the right thing. Even when the right thing seems impossible? Nexus Prime asked. Especially then, Jake said with a smile. Dr. Stone was working with the freed aliens on the mining planets. He learned that the Empire controlled over 400 star systems, all through fear and overwhelming force. But now word is spreading, said Supervisor Kex. The humans have shown that the Empire can be beaten. Rebellions are starting on other worlds. Pete Rodriguez was teaching the freed aliens how to modify their ships using human engineering principles. The key is to think outside the box. Do not do what the enemy expects. Amy Carter was coordinating with a new rebel fleet. Ships from a dozen different species were learning to work together, united by their desire for freedom. Jake looked out at the mixed fleet of human and alien ships. Lisa, I think we have started something bigger than we planned. Admiral Brooks' voice came over the radio from Earth. How big? Big enough to change the galaxy, Jake replied. Captain Nexus Prime watched the humans and their new allies working together. For the first time in his life, he saw beings from different species cooperating instead of one group dominating the others. I want to understand, he said to Jake. I want to learn how you do this. Then stick around, Jake replied. We are just getting started. The liberation of the Vega system was complete. But more importantly, the idea of freedom was spreading. The Galactic Empire was about to face something it had never encountered before. A galaxy full of species who were no longer afraid, working together against oppression. And at the center of it all were the humans, still laughing in the face of impossible odds. Counselor Artemis VII stood before the Imperial High Council. Her silver robes shimmered as she spoke with anger in her voice. Admiral Zephix 9, you have failed us 3 times. The humans and their rebel allies now control 20 star systems. Admiral. Zephix 9 kept his head down. Counselor, the humans do not fight like any enemy we have faced. They break every rule of warfare. Then we will break some rules too, Artemis 7 replied. I am giving you 70% of our total fleet, 3,000 ships. End this rebellion once and for all. That will leave our home systems almost defenseless, General Vorthik warned. Better to risk everything than lose everything slowly, Artemis 7 said. The rebels are inspiring uprisings across the galaxy. We must crush them now or lose our empire forever. In the Orion Nebula, Captain Jake Morrison met with his expanded fleet. What had started as 15 human ships was now over 200 vessels from dozens of different species. The meeting was held on a captured Imperial space station that had been converted into a rebel base. Admiral Lisa Brooks had come from Earth to help plan the strategy. Jake, our scouts report that the Empire is gathering their largest fleet ever. They are planning to end this war with one massive attack. Captain Nexus Prime, who had chosen to join the rebels, provided intelligence. about Imperial tactics. They will try to force a single large battle. The Empire believes their superior numbers will guarantee victory. How many ships are we talking about? Asked Supervisor Kex, representing the freed mining colonies. 3,000 Imperial ships against our 200, Amy Carter replied. The odds are not good. The odds have never been good, Jake said. With a smile, that has not stopped us yet. Chief Engineer Pete Rodriguez had been working with alien engineers from 6 different species. I have an idea, but it is crazy even by human standards. We like crazy, Dr. Kevin Stone said. What is the plan? Pete pointed to a display showing the Orion Nebula. The Empire will expect us to meet them in open space, where they can use their numbers. But what if we fight them here, inside the nebula? The nebula will interfere with sensors and communications, Nexus Prime observed. Both sides will be fighting blind. Exactly, Pete grinned. But humans are better at fighting blind than Imperials are. Amy studied the tactical possibilities. The nebula will hide our smaller ships. We can appear and disappear like ghosts. It will also disrupt their command network, added an alien engineer named Zilks. Without central coordination, Imperial ships will not know what to do. Dr. Stone had another idea. What if we use the nebula's properties to our advantage? The gas clouds conduct electricity. If we can overload their systems, we turn the entire nebula into a weapon, Jake finished. I love it. Admiral Lisa Brooks looked concerned. This plan requires perfect timing and coordination. If it fails, we lose everything. If we do nothing, we lose anyway, Jake replied. At least this way, we go down fighting. Sergeant Danny Walsh had been training mixed teams of human and alien Marines. Sir, we have boarding parties ready from 12 different species. Each team knows how to fight on Imperial ships. 2 weeks later, the massive Imperial fleet arrived at the edge of the Orion Nebula. Admiral Zephix 9 looked at the swirling clouds of gas and dust with suspicion. Sir, our sensors cannot penetrate the nebula effectively, reported his tactical officer. The rebels are hiding inside, General Vorthik said. They want us to come to them. Then we will give them what they want, Admiral Zephix 9 declared. All ships enter the nebula. Maintain formation. The 3,000 Imperial ships moved into the nebula like a great silver wave. Almost immediately, their sensors began malfunctioning. The gas clouds interfered with their communications. Ships that had been in perfect formation started to drift apart. Sir, we are losing contact with the outer ships, the communications officer reported. Boost signal strength. Admiral Zephix 9 ordered Dot as the Imperial fleet struggled with the nebula. Jake's forces struck. Small groups of rebel ships appeared from the gas clouds, attacked isolated Imperial vessels, and vanished again before reinforcements could arrive. The Imperial ships tried to stay together, but the nebula made it impossible. They could not see more than a few kilometers in any direction. Their formation broke apart into confused clusters of ships. This is impossible, General Vorthik said. How can they coordinate attacks when we cannot even maintain communication? The answer was simple. The rebels had learned to fight without central command. Each ship captain knew the plan and could adapt as needed. When opportunities appeared, they took them without waiting for orders. Amy Carter led a group of ships in a lightning attack on the Imperial flagship. They appeared from 3 different directions at once, fired everything they had, and disappeared back into the gas clouds. Admiral, we have lost main power, reported the damage control officer. Pete Rodriguez's master plan began in the next phase. Rebel ships throughout the nebula started releasing electrical charges into the gas clouds. The nebula began to glow and spark with electricity. What is happening? Admiral Zephix 9 demanded that the electricity in the nebula overloaded Imperial ship systems. Weapons stopped working. Engines failed. Communication networks crashed completely. Dr. Stone monitored the plan from his command ship. The electrical discharge is spreading through the entire nebula. Imperial ships are losing power across their whole fleet. Sergeant Walsh launched the boarding attacks. Hundreds of small shuttles carrying mixed human and alien teams emerged from the gas clouds. They attached to Imperial ships whose defenses were down and began capturing them from the inside. The Imperial crews, trained to fight other Imperial forces, had no idea how to handle the coordinated attacks by multiple species working together. Captain Nexus Prime coordinated the rebel fleet's movements. His knowledge of Imperial tactics helped the rebels stay one step ahead of their enemies. The Imperial fleet is breaking apart, he reported to Jake. Their commanders cannot adapt to fighting this way. Admiral Zephyx-9 realized his fleet was being destroyed by an enemy he could not see or catch. All ships retreat from the nebula, but it was too late. Many Imperial ships had lost navigation. Others were under attack by boarding parties. The once mighty fleet was scattered and confused. Jake watched from the defiant dawn as Imperial ships fled in all directions. Lisa, I think we just won the biggest space battle in galactic history. Admiral Brooks could hardly believe it. How many Imperial ships did we capture or destroy? Over half their fleet, Amy reported. And we only lost 30 ships. The victory in the Orion Nebula changed everything. Word spread across the galaxy that the Empire's greatest fleet had been shattered by a force 1/15 its size. Hundreds of worlds' rebellions erupted. Species that had been enslaved for centuries saw that freedom was possible, but Jake knew the war was not over. The Empire still controlled their home systems and would fight desperately to survive. What is our next move? Admiral Brooks asked. Jake looked at his mixed fleet of human and alien ships. Former enemies now fought side by side for freedom. We finish what we started, he said. We take the fight to their home world. The Imperial home world of Nexus Prime was a massive planet covered in silver cities and defensive stations. For 1,000 years, no enemy had ever reached this far into Imperial space. Now, a fleet of 800 rebel ships approached the heart of the Empire. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the defiant dawn and looked at the planet that had ruled the galaxy through fear. His fleet was a mix of human ships, captured Imperial vessels, and alien craft from dozens of species. They had all come together for this final battle. Jake, their defensive grid has over 500 weapon platforms, Lieutenant Amy Carter reported, plus 200 ships still loyal to the Empire. Those are not good odds, Admiral Lisa Brooks said over the communication link from Earth. Chief Engineer Pete Rodriguez was working on his most unusual modification yet. Jake, remember how we used to broadcast human entertainment to confuse the Imperials? I have been working on something special. What kind of special? Dr. Kevin Stone asked. You will see, Pete said with his biggest grin yet. Counselor Artemis 7 stood in the Imperial Command Center on Nexus Prime. She watched the approaching rebel fleet with cold anger. Admiral Zephyx-9, this is your last chance to redeem yourself. Destroy them all. Yes, Counselor, Admiral Zephyx-9 replied. But his voice did not carry the confidence it once had. He had learned to fear these unpredictable humans and their allies. Captain Nexus Prime, now fighting with the rebels, spoke to Jake over the radio. The Imperial defenders will try to force a traditional battle. They still do not understand how you fight. Then let us show them something they have never seen before. Jake replied. As the rebel fleet approached Nexus Prime, something strange began broadcasting from the human ships. Music filled the communication channels. Laughter echoed across space. Comedy shows, sports events, and human entertainment flooded every frequency. The Imperial defenders were confused. "Sir, why are they broadcasting entertainment during an attack?" asked the tactical officer. Admiral Zephyx-9 had no answer. In all his years of military service, he had never seen an attacking force that seemed to be having fun. Jake opened a channel to the entire Imperial fleet. "This is Captain Morrison. We did not come here to destroy your world. We came to free it. Any ship that wants to join us is welcome. Any ship that wants to leave in peace can go. But we will not allow the Empire to continue enslaving other species." "You are offering us surrender terms?" Admiral Zephyx-9 asked in disbelief. "We are offering you freedom," Jake replied. "The rebel fleet did not attack in formation like a normal military force. Instead, they spread out and began what looked like a celebration tour around the planet. Human ships performed impossible maneuvers while broadcasting music. Alien vessels joined in with their own cultural displays. "This is madness, Counselor," Artemis 7 said. "They are treating this like a festival, not a battle." But the strange approach was working. Imperial ship crews were listening to the broadcasts and talking among themselves. Many had friends and family on worlds that the rebels had liberated. They had heard stories about how well the freed aliens were being treated. Sergeant Danny Walsh led boarding parties to the defensive stations, but instead of fighting, his Marines brought gifts and food from Earth. They showed the Imperial workers pictures of the free colonies where different species lived and worked together. "Why are you not destroying us?" asked one confused Imperial station commander. "Because we want to be friends, not conquerors," Danny replied. Dr. Stone was broadcasting medical information to Imperial ships. He offered to share human healing techniques and medicines with anyone who wanted them. "We are not here to hurt people," he said. "We are here to help everyone live better lives." The first Imperial ship to surrender was a small patrol vessel. The captain announced over the radio that he wanted to see what freedom looked like. Then another ship joined him. Then 10 more. Admiral Zivix-9 watched his fleet falling apart, but not through battle. His ships were surrendering because they wanted to join something better than the Empire. "Sir, over half our fleet has defected," reported his tactical officer. Pete Rodriguez activated his final surprise. Giant holographic displays appeared around the planet, showing images from the liberated worlds. Humans and aliens working together. Children playing in free schools. Scientists sharing discoveries across species boundaries. "Look at what we have built together," Jake's voice said across all channels. "This is what freedom looks like. This is what you can have too." On the planet's surface, millions of Imperial citizens watched the displays. Many had never seen anything like it. The Empire had always told them that different species could only coexist through domination. But the images showed cooperation and friendship. Consular Artemis 7 realized her empire was crumbling not through conquest, but through hope. "Admiral, destroy the rebel fleet immediately." But Admiral Zephyx-9 was looking at the holographic displays too. He thought about all the battles he had fought to maintain Imperial control. He thought about the species that had been enslaved and the worlds that had been stripped of resources. "No," he said quietly. "What did you say?" Artemis 7 demanded. "I said no." Admiral Zephyx-9 replied louder. "I will not fire on beings who offer friendship instead of domination." The Admiral opened a channel to Jake. "Captain Morrison, I formally surrender the Imperial fleet. We want to learn about this freedom you speak of." Across the planet, Imperial forces began laying down their weapons. Citizens poured into the streets, not to fight, but to celebrate. They were tired of living under the Empire's harsh rule. Captain Nexus Prime was amazed. "Jake, you have conquered the galaxy without destroying it." "We did not conquer anything," Jake replied. "We just showed everyone that there was a better way to live." Dr. Stone was already organizing medical teams to help Imperial citizens who had been denied proper health care. Pete Rodriguez was teaching Imperial engineers how to build things that helped people instead of weapons of war. Amy Carter was working with former Imperial officers to establish the new Galactic Freedom Council. Representatives from every species would have an equal voice in governing their own worlds. Sergeant Walsh was helping to free the remaining prison worlds, where political prisoners had been held for decades. Admiral Lisa Brooks arrived from Earth, with ships full of supplies and teachers. Jake, what happens now? Jake looked out at Nexus Prime, where humans and dozens of alien species were already working together to build a new society. Now we explore. The galaxy is a big place, and there is a lot to discover. Counselor Artemis 7 was brought before the new council as a prisoner. She expected to be executed like she had done to so many rebels. Instead, she was offered a choice. You can go into exile, Jake told her, or you can stay and help us build something better. But the days of ruling through fear are over. 6 months later, the former Imperial space was transforming into something the galaxy had never seen. Hundreds of species worked together freely. Technology and knowledge were shared openly. Children grew up learning about other cultures instead of fearing them. Jake stood on the bridge of the Defiant Dawn as his ship prepared for a new mission. The galaxy beyond the old Imperial borders was vast and unexplored. Who knew what wonders and new friends they might find out there? Captain, we are receiving requests from 12 different worlds asking for help with first contact procedures, Amy reported. Looks like our reputation is spreading, Dr. Stone observed. Pete Rodriguez was excited about the new exploration ships being built. Jake, the new vessels use technology from 15 different species. They are going to be amazing. Jake smiled as he looked out at the stars. The galaxy was no longer divided between rulers and subjects. It was a community of equals, working together and laughing together as they reached for the unknown. Set course for the unknown regions, Jake ordered. Let us go find some new friends. As the Defiant Dawn jumped to hyperspace, laughter echoed across the communication channels. Somewhere out there, new adventures waited for the species that had shown the galaxy that joy and joy, friendship were stronger than fear and domination. The Empire was gone, but the laughter would continue forever.